They told you the system works for you. They told you that if you work hard enough, play by the rules, spend wisely, and save diligently, the system rewards you. But what if the system was never designed to reward you? What if you were never the beneficiary? What if you were always the product? Your debit card. You go to the store, you buy groceries, you swipe your card. Except behind that swipe is a network of companies, Visa, MasterCard, your bank, all taking a percentage of that transaction every single time from the merchant, who then builds that cost into the price of everything on the shelf. So you're paying for the privilege of spending your own money. And then your bank sends you an advertisement, unlimited 2% cash back on every purchase. Like they're doing you a favor. They're not doing you a favor. They're returning a fraction of what they already took. Dressed up as generosity and marketed as benefit, designed to make you swipe more often so they can take more. And the people who lose the most in this system are the ones who can least afford to lose. People without bank accounts who have to pay check cashing services just to access their own paycheck. People without credit who pay standard prices at every store and walk away with nothing back. No rewards, no cash back, no points, while wealthier card users recover a fraction of what the system already extracted. The poorest people pay a percentage just to hold their own money in their hands. In 1911 to 1967, the United States had its own postal banking system, a public bank, government owned, and available to every citizen, low cost, and it worked. Private banks lobbied it out of existence, not because it failed, but because it would work too well. Because a functional, free alternative meant fewer people who needed them, and so it was killed. This is what happens when profit is the only motive and power is the tool to protect it. And it's not just banks. Banks are tied to investment funds. Investment funds are tied to insurance companies. Insurance companies have pre approved medical networks. These insurance companies benefit when you're sick. And what's happening when the food on your shelves is full of ingredients that make you sick over time? Ingredients that are banned in other countries but approved here. And who approved them? The same regulatory system that food industries helped write. You get sick, insurance profits, pharmaceuticals profit, the hospital profits, and you pay your deductibles. Hedge funds bet with money they don't have. Private equity buys successful businesses, extracts dollar, and files for bankruptcy, leaving workers with nothing. Wall Street trades non-existent money on manufactured risk, and your retirement fund is tied to all of it. And when it collapses, and it has collapsed, the banks always get bailed out. And with whose money? The public's money, the government's money, which is our money. These aren't isolated failures. It's a system functioning as it was designed. When the same outcomes keep repeating, when solutions keep getting killed before they reach a vote, when the people writing the regulations are the people the regulations are supposed to constrain, it's not incompetence, it's architecture. And human suffering is not a side effect of this system. It is a business model. Sick people are more profitable than healthy people. Indebted people are more profitable than financially free people. Dependent people are more profitable than self-sufficient people. And a population that doesn't trust itself cannot organize against the thing that destroys trust. Let's talk about legality. Legality is the most powerful word in the system's vocabulary and is used almost exclusively to oppress people who cannot afford to do harm. If you're wealthy, legality is negotiable. You hire a firm, a team of attorneys, with unlimited resources and unlimited time, and you post bail and you go home. You pay a fine that looks significant to a human being and is invisible on the balance sheet, and then you go back to doing exactly what you were doing. And if you're poor, it's a trap. You get arrested on a Friday night, you can't afford bail, you sit in a cell through the weekend, not because you were proven guilty, but because you were poor. And in this system, poverty is treated like a crime before you've committed one. Monday comes, you see a judge, you're appointed an attorney, someone overworked, underpaid, carrying more cases than any human being can reasonably manage, someone who has maybe minutes to dedicate to understanding your life before standing up and speaking on your behalf. And this is not due process. This is assimilation of due process. The right to a fair trial is only a right if you can afford it. And this system is not designed to rehabilitate you, it is designed to profit from you. Private prisons are perhaps the most honest expression of everything wrong with this system. A for-profit institution whose financial health depends on occupancy. Empty cells are lost revenue, which means the incentive is never to reduce incarceration. The incentive is always to fill beds. And how do you fill beds? You create laws. Not because those laws make communities safer, but because more laws mean more criminals. More criminals mean more arrests. More arrests mean more revenue. More revenue means more shareholders getting paid. The United States has more laws carrying criminal penalties and more incarcerated people per capita than virtually any developed nation on earth, and it was deliberately manufactured. Excessive sentencing laws flooded prisons beyond public capacity. Beyond public capacity created the justification for private prisons. Private prisons created a lobbying industry dedicated to keeping those laws in place and making new ones. Laws create criminals. Criminals create profit. Profit creates more laws. Law has been used throughout American history to criminalize specific communities, not because those communities were more dangerous, but because criminalization was a tool of economic and social control, and that history did not disappear. The same mechanism that allowed law to be weaponized then are still operable now. When a system profits from incarceration, it will always find populations to incarcerate. And for the wealthy entities that cause harm, there are settlements. The settlement is a permission slip for the abusive entities to continue being abusive. The victim is coerced into signing away their right to speak, the details are sealed, guilt is never formally admitted, and the amount paid is a calculated business expense, not a consequence. A settlement communicates that we knew we were causing harm. We calculated the cost of getting caught. We determined the profit was worth the risk, and if we get caught again, we'll settle again. We have taken ethics and turned it into a financial calculation. Harm is not something to be avoided. It is a line item on a risk assessment. The law does not stop this. The law facilitates it. Because legality is not a moral standard, it is a price list, legal for those who can afford to pay it and criminal for those who can't. And you were conditioned to protect this system. You were told capitalism is sacred and any alternative is dangerous. You were told that people who seek connections are crazy, conspiracy theorists, radicals, because the most powerful tool the system has is your own dismissal of the people trying to explain it to you. And every election cycle you're given two choices, both funded by the same corporations, both safe for the system, and you're told to pick the lesser evil or you're wasting your vote. So you vote out of fear instead of out of conviction. And the system stays exactly where it is. The truth is if 60% of people think their vote doesn't matter, they are the reason their vote doesn't matter. The collective belief that change is impossible is the single most effective mechanism for making change impossible. Your vote is not wasted on someone you actually believe in. It is wasted on someone you settled for out of fear. And how do we change this? From the ground up. Not waiting for someone at the top to develop a conscience, not hoping the system fixes itself. Every labor right you have, every civil right, every protection that exists between you and total corporate exploitation, it came from the people at the bottom organizing and making the cost of the status quo higher than the cost of change. And that is the only thing that has ever worked. Locally, we vote for people who actually represent us, not parties, people. Local elections are less corrupted and more winnable, and local policy becomes state policy, becomes federal policy. Economically, we build alternatives, credit unions instead of banks, public banking, utilities as public infrastructure, insurance as social programs, not a profit machine. Structurally, we demand wage ratios that connect with what the CEO makes to what the janitor makes. We tie rent to what people actually earn. We make shareholders accountable for what the companies they invest in actually do. We remove the freedom to profit from harm. We educate the young equitably, fully, freely, because an educated population is the single greatest threat to a system that depends on confusion and compliance. And we demand transparency from the government, from military, from corporations. Classification should not be a tool to hide financial crimes from the people paying for them. The great thing is, the same network they use to advertise at you is the same network you can use to organize against them. The information that exposes this system is available to anyone willing to zoom out far enough to see the full picture. This system is dependent on your participation. Your spending is a vote. Your ballot is a vote. Your awareness is a threat. Your organization is a thing that is feared. And the system feels permanent because you were born into it. But it was built deliberately, piece by piece over time, which means it can be dismantled the same way, piece by piece from the ground up by people who refuse to keep being the product. The machine will only feed on you if you let it.